I'm going to tell you which quarterbacks will land with which teams in the 2026 offseason and which team is going to trade up into the top 10 of the NFL draft on today's NFL Six Pack.
This is Locked On's NFL Six Pack. 6 bold takes from 2 guys who just flat out know football. NFL experts Matt Williamson and Brian Peacock bring pure NFL talk. Great takes, no fluff, just honest football talk. Crack one open. It's NFL Six Pack on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome to the NFL Six Pack. Brian Peacock here, rolling solo today. Chief ball knower Matt Williamson is got the day off, so doing the mailbag today solo. We got a lot of great questions in the hopper, some phenomenal ones, and none more important than where the quarterbacks are going to go now that we've seen all the coaches and all the movement of the coach carousel in the 2026 offseason. Well, now it's time for that quarterback carousel, and I've got some predictions on where those things are going to stop spinning without the interference from Williamson. And so including his Pittsburgh Steelers. I got a quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and it's, to be honest with you, it's really easy seeing some of this coming a mile away. So you're going to want to buckle up and tune in for that. And a ton of other questions here, many of them draft related on today's NFL Six Pack. So thank you very much, everybody, by the way, for tuning in and making us your first listen of the day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. And thanks for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. Let's get into the mailbag here. The very first question from Lewis: where will all of the quarterbacks go, and to which quarterback needy teams? Well, I'm glad you asked, Lewis, because I've got the answers for you right here. The most obvious one, Fernando Mendoza. He's going to the Las Vegas Raiders. They're not going to trade the pick. We're going to go down that road this offseason and really dive into what that would look like and play it out for, let's say, the Jets, if they made a Godfather offer and went to #1 and got Mendoza, and then the Raiders traded out of that, what that might look like. And then, okay, this is the haul without trading down out of 1. And here's the haul with all that you could get if you were to move down, and which one is better in the end for the Las Vegas Raiders, and maybe for the team trading up, and probably be the New York Jets in that exercise. So we will go through that exercise. That'll be an entire podcast all itself. I'm going to do that one with Williamson. I'm not going to let him have he won't let me have all the fun with that one. So here we go, though. These are where the quarterbacks are going to land. Fernando Mendoza is going to be a Las Vegas Raider. He can start shopping for homes in Henderson, Nevada, post haste. So this is where you have to play it out. The dominoes have to fall in a certain order. And I don't think the Rodgers domino is going to be the first one if we know anything about Aaron Rodgers. And, looking at the tea leaves here, there's a report that Rodgers is going to say whether he's coming back soon, and the Steelers would welcome him back if he wants to come back. And then there's a report that people close to Aaron Rodgers say there's no chance that he comes back. Or there's hold on, I got Aditi Kikwabala had a report, and it was minuscule chance. Everyone around Aaron Rodgers seems to think there's a minuscule chance. So that was another report. So it's as it always is with Aaron Rodgers, it's clear as mud what he's going to do. But here's the problem for the Pittsburgh Steelers. If they're waiting for an answer from Rodgers, then that means day 1 free agency, they might not know. And Malik Willis is the really only quarterback that I think is you got to rush and you got to get in front of it and you got to sign him on the first day of free agency player. And so to me, that means Malik Willis, even if there'd be interest from the Pittsburgh Steelers in bringing in Malik Willis, I think they're going to lose out. And there's another reason why Malik Willis in this exercise is going to the Arizona Cardinals, and that is the LaFleur connection. Malik Willis resurrected his career with the Packers under Matt LaFleur. Matt LaFleur knows this player inside and out. He's coached him. He's called plays for him. He's worked with him in the Green Bay Packers facility for numerous seasons now, and has seen all the strengths and weaknesses of Malik Willis and wanted to bring him in the first place to be Jordan Love's backup. And his brother just so happens to be the new head coach and play caller of the Arizona Cardinals. And their offenses are going to be very similar, and they're going to have similar terminology. So it's a very easy transition for Malik Willis. There is an obvious connection there with the LaFleur brothers and all the information that would go along with that would grease the wheels on this thing in every single way, unless maybe that is telling his little brother, hey, actually, maybe Malik Willis isn't that good, and maybe he's not the guy. He only threw, I think 20 passes, the most he's ever attempted as a Green Bay Packer, too. So it's not like he was just dropping back and slinging the thing all over the place, even though it did look good when he was in there. And so that's really a natural connection that I think you can make is Malik Willis to the Arizona Cardinals. And they're a team that has enough cap space to make a move on a free agent quarterback. They have the need, and I think they will have an opening at quarterback because they are going to trade Kyler Murray or cut Kyler Murray before the March 15th deadline where his 2027 salary would become guaranteed. And I don't think it's going to cost a lot in trade, or he might just be released anyway before the new league year. And so in that case, there will be an opening, there will be the need, and there will be the effort from the Arizona Cardinals to go sign Malik Willis. Mendoza to Las Vegas, Malik Willis to the Arizona Cardinals. Kyler Murray, where does he end up? That is the New York Jets. And I don't think Murray's a fit with the Minnesota Vikings. I've got them going another direction with a veteran quarterback to help them out with the J.J. McCarthy era, whether that goes north or south. Kyler Murray, New York Jets. And I think that is that's one of really the only clean landing spots, I think, for Kyler Murray and all this. And again, his salary that is guaranteed this year, $24 million, I believe it is. The Jets have all kinds of cap space and can handle that. And it'll only cost you a late round pick if you trade for him. Maybe he just becomes a complete free agent, then you can sign him there either. And maybe that'll make it a little bit easier for, say, maybe a team like Miami Dolphins, although I still don't even love the fit in Miami Dolphins. I don't love the fit in Minnesota. I don't love the fit in, Atlanta. I don't love the fit in really any of these places for Kyler Murray, to be honest with you. The offenses aren't a great fit. Maybe Cleveland? Would Cleveland go in that direction? I could see it. I've got Cleveland going in another somewhat fun direction, depending on what your perspective is and what you believe fun would be for a quarterback team combination in the NFL. The Minnesota Vikings, Kirk Cousins reunion. Like, Kirk Cousins really fits best in two places. It's Atlanta, where he already is with Stefanski. But he's going to get released, so he's going to have an opportunity to look around. And if they already didn't want to pay him, maybe things are a little bit sour and strange there. Just go back home to Minnesota, where you spent so many great years, and see if you can resurrect things. And who knows, you probably end up being the starting quarterback again. Otherwise, if it's only backup jobs for Kirk Cousins, look out for the San Francisco 49ers. But the 49ers currently have a backup quarterback. So what do the 49ers do at backup quarterback? We'll get to that momentarily. How about this one for the Cleveland Browns? A trade for Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson to the Cleveland Browns. Their new head coach was just the offensive coordinator for Lamar Jackson, the ultimate dual threat quarterback. Could Anthony Richardson go in with a clean slate and with a coach who knows how to develop an offense around a quarterback that is that dynamically, athletically gifted? And could he beat out Shedeur Sanders? I think he could. Shedeur Sanders, I can't be your only plan. Gabriel can't be your only plan. Throw an Anthony Richardson bomb in there in Cleveland as well. And who knows, because those quarterbacks might be running for their lives with the offensive line situation going on with the Cleveland Browns. So you might need that athleticism. And there's still some upside there. And there were still some glimpses, but he lost that job. And the Colts are going in a new direction. They're going to franchise tag Daniel Jones. So Daniel Jones is not going to see the market and is not going to change teams in this exercise. But they might need a backup quarterback. So we'll talk about that quarterback. We'll talk about what the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to do, what happens with the Miami Dolphins quarterback situation, as well as tons of questions in 5 more questions, because it's a 6-pack of mailbag questions, as we do here on Thursdays on the NFL 6-pack. This episode of the NFL Six Pack is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy, and welcome to the 5 Hour Energy Flavor Draft. We're looking at every aspect of the draft to let you know which tasty flavors are the best and which just might be sleepers. The board is set, the flavors are ready, and only one is going to take the top spot. In my opinion, the number one spot belongs to pomegranate, which is deep, slightly tart pomegranate flavor, more sophisticated, less candy-like. I'm in the less sweet portion of my life. I don't need the sweetest possibilities out there. You know, I think the old standby, which is grape. When I was a kid, I always reached for the grape soda, the grape flavored drink, the grape, frozen pops, whatever it is. I was big on grape when I was a kid. But how about some of these new flavors? Confetti craze. What about fruity rainbow? I haven't had a chance to taste that one, but brings back some nostalgic ideas of what that could possibly be. What is your favorite flavor of 5 Hour Energy? Find your new favorite of 5 Hour Energy shots available online at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon. Again, find your new flavor of 5 Hour Energy shots available online at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon. This episode is also brought to you by our friends at Indeed. Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need to hire, and you need the right hire, not just any hire, this is a job for sponsored jobs. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for. Skills, experience, location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles upon your post, right? And here's a great stat for you that says it all. In the minute that I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to the Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching, more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners of this show will get $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this show. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. All right, keeping it going with where the quarterbacks will land in the 2026 offseason. Mendoza to the Raiders. Kyler Murray to the Jets. We've got Malik Willis to the Arizona Cardinals. Anthony Richardson to the Cleveland Browns. Kirk Cousins back to the Minnesota Vikings. And here's where things get very interesting. If Cousins goes to Minnesota, what do the Falcons need? I think maybe a two-pronged attack for the Falcons. Could this be a landing spot for the unretiring of Derek Carr? Because to me, it's Carr and Cousins, and maybe they flip-flop in Atlanta and Minnesota, but those are the two landing spots for them. Veteran player. Carr did talk recently about it made it sound like Minnesota was an option there. I still like Cousins better for Minnesota than Carr. But Carr said he wasn't just going to go anywhere. And so, to be honest with you, if I had to bet, I would just bet that Carr doesn't come back and play. That's probably my bet. I don't know if there's a great fit, and I don't know if the team's going to be beating down his door to come be the starter. Maybe it ends up with the Jets. But again, he said he wouldn't go play anywhere. So the franchises like the Jets and the Browns would seem like not the most interesting for a guy who wants to probably come back and win. So where are you going to go win? I don't know. You can argue that maybe Atlanta could be that spot. Maybe Minnesota could be that spot. Maybe he just stays home and podcasts with his brother Dave. Maybe add so here, let's go to the draft. So the reason I don't have Minnesota's not going to spend a first-round pick on Ty Simpson. Cleveland's not going to spend a first-round pick on Ty Simpson. I don't think the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to go down that road. It is so similar to the pick they made just a few years ago. High floor-ish floor, but not even that high of a floor and not that high of a ceiling. Ty Simpson. Lance Zierlein, NFL.com. His Ty Simpson comp is former Alabama quarterback Mac Jones. You got Mac Jones at home already, right? Why would you spend a first-round pick on Ty Simpson when you can spend a day 2 pick on Mac Jones? Mac Jones, to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Is the fit? Matt Williamson doesn't like it. I know some folks want a higher upside. Well, it's not Ty Simpson. Malik Willis already signed the first day of free agency. Aaron Rodgers is retired. And can you wait for Aaron Rodgers? Can't wait for a dark hole. Mac Jones is that player. Day 2 pick, maybe a pick and a player. Work it out. The Steelers got 3 third-round picks. Figure it out. And by the way, okay, maybe the Steelers want to just sit back and wait for Ty Simpson in the second round. You can't. Someone's going to snap Ty Simpson up for the second round, even if before you get your pick in the second round, even if you don't want to spend your first rounder on it. So now you're spending a third and a second on Ty Simpson when his upside isn't even bigger than Mac Jones. Just go trade for Mac Jones. You already know what he looks like as an NFL quarterback. Okay, you want Garrett Nussmeier. Well, you're going to draft him in the second round? If you like him that much, are you sure he's even going to be there? Maybe you want to draft him in the third round. Well, you're picking 76. Guess who picked 75? Miami Dolphins. Garrett Nussmeier. Miami Dolphins. Day 2 draft selection. Nussmeier going to the Miami Dolphins to probably lose a bunch of football games if he plays at all as a rookie for a team that is in what looks like a complete teardown rebuild. Everybody available for trade from that Miami Dolphins roster. And so you're wondering, well, where the heck did Ty Simpson go? I think it's the Rams. The Rams at pick 29. Late round 1, early round 2. Does a team come up and trade ahead of the Rams, knowing that they could be the team, the wild card team that could pluck a player away? You're sitting at pick 29 if you're the Rams, and you're not going to have a clean first round graded player fall into your lap. This is not the draft to have a first round guy most likely being there for you at pick 29. So Ty Simpson to the Los Angeles Rams to sit behind Stafford for a year and get ready to run that Sean McVay offense in 2027. 49ers would need a backup. Tua gets cut. He goes and sits behind Brock Purdy. Perfect fit there. Similar terminology. Just had Mike McDaniel, former Shanahan protege, as his head coach. And the Indianapolis Colts do need a player. They would probably go, this is hat tip to Matt Williamson. He's not here with us. He likes the Mariota fit there. And I think I like that fit too for the Indianapolis Colts. Just a veteran. You get to have the job for a few days until Daniel Jones comes back and is ready to take it back over. So there you go. That's where the quarterbacks will land in the 2026 offseason. Don't even need to follow the news because that's how it is all going to go down. We do have a mailbag question here from a Steelers fan named My Sports Fixins. Wants to know how many top 100 picks do you think the Steelers will end up taking? Well, they've got 5, right? They got a first, a second, and 3/3. Well, they're going to pick 4 times because they're going to trade at least one of those picks away, whether it's to move up, maybe move up in round 1. Maybe Rodgers comes back and you're going to get a different position, or you're moving around and you're getting your quarterback, or you're trading for Mac Jones. That is my prediction for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They will spend 4 of those 5 top 100 picks. This one from Paul on the NFL draft. Which team is most likely to trade into the top 10 and for what position? I would say jockeying for, it's not going to be a core. Ty Simpson could go anywhere. Maybe he ends up being a top 10 pick. I think he's more likely falls out of the first round than is drafted in the top 10. That's my opinion on it. I'll go back and watch some more of Ty Simpson. Maybe I can be sold on it. I think he's not I don't think he's as good a prospect as Mac Jones was coming out. Mac Jones had a better season and was no less physically impressive than Ty Simpson as a prospect. What position would a team trade up for? Probably an edge, maybe a wide receiver. Again, it's probably the Rams. The Rams are the wild card team. They are a super aggressive organization. So anytime you're like, who's going to do the weird thing in the draft? It's probably Les Snead and the Rams. They got 2 first-round picks. So if you're talking about teams that are going to trade up in the draft, you got to talk about the teams with 2 first-round picks. The Rams being one of those. The New York Jets being another. The Jets might say, we couldn't get our quarterback, but guess what? We can double dip and get two of the better players that are not Fernando Mendoza in this draft and go up from 16 and get into the top 10 if they want to go that route. The Dallas Cowboys have 2 first-round picks. They could go do it. Might be an edge rusher for them, which would be that need as well. I kind of like the Rams because they're at 13, which is pretty high. I kind of like them jumping up just a little bit to go get someone like Caleb Downs out of Ohio State, and they wouldn't even have to give up that pick 29, and then they can still go draft Ty Simpson if they want there. I think Downs, you think he's like a force multiplier, like he's that special of a player, and you identify that in him, and you're at 13. How high do you got to get up? 9? The Chiefs they're gonna have a Jeremiah Love, a running back, going in every mock draft. If you're gonna take a running back, might as well move down first. So I like the Rams to be that team that would move up. 2 first-round picks, aggressive organization. There you go. Next, we've got questions on why are there so many draft busts? How can teams be this bad at drafting players when there is so much information about these players available? And safety. Is it the new quarterback? How many safeties are going to go in the first round? And how many more are there going to go then? Quarterbacks potentially in the 2026 NFL draft. We'll finish up this Thursday mailbag episode next.
Hey, it's Matt Derry from the Locked On Lions podcast. The people I love depend on me. If I'm gone, the financial responsibilities don't disappear. I didn't want my family figuring things out during the hardest moment of their lives. That's why I knew only one place to go. I chose life insurance through my friends at Ethos. Ethos makes getting life insurance fast and easy, 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. There's no medical exam. You just answer a few simple health questions. You can get up to $3 million in coverage. Some policies are as low as $30 a month. I love the folks at Ethos. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos now by going to ethos.com/LockedOnNFL. In as little as 10 minutes, you can get the free quote and up to $3 million in coverage at ethos.com/LockedOnNFL. That is ethos.com/LockedOnNFL. Ethos.com/LockedOnNFL. Application times and rates may vary.
Thanks again, everybody, for making us your first listen on the Locked On Podcast Network. And thanks for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. If you're tuning in every day, then the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get NFL 6-pack ad-free, plus members-only Discord access and more. Just head to nfl6pack.supercast.com or check the link in the show notes to learn more. Why are teams so bad at drafting? Yeah, it's really funny. So post-draft, you get a lot of feedback, and sometimes you're negative about a team's draft haul. And naturally, some fans of that team will get mad at an analyst or a media member for giving you their favorite team a bad grade. And they're like, the response is always something like, well, I think blank blank knows better than you do about this, right? And it's like, yes, they do. But guess what? Sometimes they don't. Sometimes teams do the dumbest possible thing you could possibly do, and sometimes you can see it coming a mile away. I think sometimes there is just a too small of a brain trust, and you can talk yourself into some wild things like the 49ers did during the pandemic, and you're stir crazy, and you're Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch talk each other into trading up the number 3 pick in the NFL draft, not even really knowing who the heck they're going to take. Just a completely ridiculous scenario playing out and lighting 3 first-round picks on fire. It happens. And guess what? In that case, they didn't know better than any of us, because that was a massive blunder, and it's amazing they still have their jobs after doing that, right? And so, and the way I put it is, I am a flawed human being, right? Matt and I, we're flawed human beings, and we are analyzing flawed human beings who are drafting flawed human beings. There's a lot of error built in being just a human being. And I think that's the hardest part of all of this, is knowing exactly the human being you're going to get and how that transition from college to the NFL is going to go. The tape is the easiest part of all of it. It's the human nature of it all, how someone is wired. Eric DeCosta, GM of the Baltimore Ravens, was asked this question: how do you avoid a bust? And he talked about, the three most important things being work ethic, character, and a player's ability to learn and fit into a new system and a new environment. And that's coming from a GM who drafted a guy with big character and off-field concerns in the second round last year, right? But the talent evaluation was high enough to where, okay, well, we're not going to take him in the first, but if they're in the second, we're still going to take him, because it's hard to find players who hit on the film evaluation, the talent, the height, weight, speed, and the character, and the smarts. There's not many of those guys, and they go super early. So you're going to have to find your way around and navigate this thing, because there are no perfect prospects. And so we're just flawed human beings that are evaluating other flawed human beings that are drafting flawed human beings. And that's the biggest reason, I think. Steve, by the way, who asked this question, why do so many teams seem to draft badly? He also says it seems prudent to sign free agents to short-term patch needs and draft for long-term stability. Best player available accounting for positions seems so straightforward, i.e. the drop-off for skill positions doesn't seem quite as bad for linemen, etc. 100%. I agree. Free agency is for need. Draft is for the future. Period. Teams still seem to screw that up, and it's really hard when you have a need not to try to force that in the NFL draft. And you go back to the running back thing. It's like, dude, the Carolina Panthers in 2017 hit on a first-round running back. New York Giants hit on a first-round running back. Atlanta Falcons hit on a first-round running back. The Las Vegas Raiders probably hit on a first-round running back last year. The Panthers with McCaffrey didn't win anything. In fact, McCaffrey didn't win until he went to another organization. It was already good. And then you plug in the running back. You don't build the thing out of the running back. The Giants didn't win with Saquon. But guess what? Saquon won later because he's a good player with a team that already had the thing built. We know where the Raiders are picking after drafting a running back last year. Atlanta Falcons can't make the playoffs. They got the best running back in the NFL right now. So, yeah, you don't build the thing out of the running back. So you just got teams just continue to make some of the same mistakes, and it is pretty maddening. But these teams are also very smart and do some amazing things too. It's difficult, man. And I think every fan base thinks their team drafts poorly because every team generally kind of does draft poorly, which is the funny thing. Michael says there could be at least 3 safeties going in the first round and possibly only 3 combined quarterbacks and running backs in round 1. I don't know what this means, and it's not a question, but an interesting note that I just thought of. No, that's a great note. And yeah, it's a look, running backs shouldn't go in the first round. Maybe late first round. I get it. But the caliber of running back that you would draft late first round, to me, doesn't get to the late first round because they're too good and they end up going earlier. Right? I would draft the first round running back in the rare occasion that superstar player, Bijan Robinson is still there at pick 30 and you don't have any first round grades left on your board. So you're drafting from other day 2 players anyway. And so then maybe you could talk yourself into it. And if you're drafting 30, you're already a pretty darn good football team. And maybe that gets you over the top because you got the thing built. That would start to make sense. But the Bijans don't fall that far. So you definitely shouldn't be drafting Sony Michel or Clyde Edwards-Helaire at the end of the first round. That's not what I'm talking about. To be honest with you, every team should draft a running back on day 3 every year and really not do anything else at running back ever. The replacement level is just too high at the position. Did I even answer the question? What was the question? I already forgot. Oh, the safeties. There's some seriously talented safeties. And I think that, off-ball linebacker, because of what they have to do in coverage and how difficult that is to find, I think interior offensive linemen and I think safeties, some of those traditionally less valuable positions, I think are creeping up in value the more positionless things get in the NFL. Because guess what? Pressure up the middle is just as bad and in some ways worse for quarterbacks than pressure on the edge. You need to displace people in the run game. Defensive lines are so talented. You can be really good on the offensive line. Like, the center's valuable. Safeties are pretty darn valuable. Most teams in the NFL target the middle of the field and target their slot receiver more than any other position in the league. Like, that's where your number one lines up. You move them around. You want to get them over the middle of the field. You want to line them up on the inside. And you want to get those matchups on safety. So the safeties have to be able to fill the run. They have to be really smart. They have to be able to cover. But really, it's still above the next the important thing. So I think you're going to see some mistakes made if you're drafting height, weight, speed at safety, because it's still largely a smarts-driven, instincts-driven position in the NFL. But yeah, bad quarterback class is really the final answer there, and a really solid and deep safety class. I mean, the safety class is top heavy. The safety class is deep as well. Last one here. We're going to go to Steelers. I had another question that I wanted to get to as well. I want to hit this one actually from Dan on YouTube. He says, I've never seen the top 3 picks of a draft so locked in across basically every mock from legit sources. Almost makes me think it won't happen. I agree that my team's new coach, Hafley, would love the chance to take Delane Mansour at 11. We desperately need secondary help, and he knows coaching DBs. Well, if your coach is good at coaching DBs, don't you think you should go draft the weaker spots and then let him coach up other DBs? I don't know. I kind of go both ways on that argument. But as far as groupthink is strong. Dude, last year, I was thinking about this with Ty Simpson. Last year at this time, we were talking about a quarterback that went in the 5th round at number 1 overall. And Shedeur Sanders, right? Shedeur Sanders in every mock draft was very high. And he ended up going in the 5th round. So you never know how teams are really going to look at it, how they're looked at league-wide. And I just talked about those conversations that happen behind closed doors. You know, these teams, they pay attention to the groupthink, but they do their own boards and they do their own thing in-house independently for their own team. And the rankings are wildly off. They're always wildly off. And so expect it. You should expect, Dan, that whatever you see in mock drafts is going to be wildly different. It's going to be crazy. This year, I think we know what number 1 is. That always locks things in. And then, you know, there's probably only 3 or 4 other players that could go to. And then I think that'll probably end up getting shaken out at the combine. So it might be a little bit at the very, very top, but I'll do a mock draft for the 49ers, right? For Locked On 49ers. And it's almost the exact same players available every single time, no matter what mock draft simulator I use. And that's just not reality. It's not going to happen that way. So yeah, we don't know, man. We don't know anything. We don't know who's going to be good out of this draft class. We don't know who's going to be available after pick number 1. We don't know anything, guys. But I do know where the quarterbacks are going to land this offseason. So I'm glad I was able to drop that knowledge on you listeners. Appreciate you guys dropping in every single day with myself and Matt Williamson. Matt back with me on Friday's episode. Keep those mailbag questions coming on Twitter or in the YouTube comments. Subscribe while you're there. And Matt and I back tomorrow on the NFL Six Pack.